Okay, hello. Oh, good to see you. Today I'm going to be playing Minecraft. Basically, just playing Minecraft. That's about it. It's a good seed already. Okay, we got a village. Yeah, I'm just gonna be kind of talking, maybe telling a few stories and such. I'll think of a few to tell you now, because earlier today, was the day that we got schedules for school. But before I tell you guys about that, make sure to check if you're subscribed, and if you aren't, please consider subscribing if you do enjoy my videos and such. It's free, and of course you can always unsubscribe, there's no issue with that. So yeah, consider that. Anyways, now to the story. Basically, earlier today, I was over at my friend's house. I had stayed the night, and we were like, I don't remember what time it was, but it was like 5 in the morning, I think. Because we were still up, we were just kind of messing around, and like, yeah, watching movies. We were watching like horror movies. We watched like the Paranormal Activity 2 and 4, I think. Because 3 we had to buy, and then 1 we had already watched before. So yeah, it's a strange order, but yeah. So we watched those, and then we kind of like realized, I was like, wait a minute, it's the 29th. We have to get our schedules today for school, because we, I guess, had forgot about that. I don't know why we forgot about that or how we forgot about that, because it was something that we had been talking about for many days prior. But we're like, oh shoot, we're gonna have to like get one of our parents to take us. So we planned that, and then next morning, her dad like is the one who's gonna take us. So we go to the school and we get our schedules and such, and like that's all fine and dandy. It's like the pickup time was from 12 to 3, I think, for the last names that we had. Like, because it goes by numbers, like A to Z, or like A to this, or J to this, kind of just separating into 2 groups basically by your last name. So we luckily had last names that were close enough to be in the same like time frame, so we were just able to go together, and that was good. So we got our schedules and such. I'm not a huge fan of mine. Today, actually, that I'm recording this is the 29th, so this is, like I mentioned, happened earlier today. I'm not a huge fan of mine. Quite a few of my classes, I accidentally signed up for the wrong classes, and like some of the ones that I didn't really like because I didn't understand the forum very well. Yeah, kind of embarrassing. But it's okay. I'm a sophomore now? Yeah, I'm a sophomore now. I'm like 15 and a half. But yeah, so we got our schedules, and I'm not looking forward to going back to school either, because I have an entire book report I was supposed to do over summer for my English class, and I haven't even started it. School starts on the 4th, which is in like, I don't know, I'm gonna guess like 6 or 5 days, depending on how you think about it. And so I have not even a week to get my thing done, and I have like stuff already planned for this week. So it's not looking too good. It also it affects my grade for the first semester too. I'm gonna have to do it, because if I don't, then I'll already be failing like the first quarter or whatever it's called. I kind of forgot how to craft for a minute. But yeah, so that's a bit of an issue. Definitely, I'm not looking forward to going back to school solely for the fact that I'm gonna have to face that. But other than that, I'm like half excited. I don't know. Last year I did not do good at all. Last year was the worst school year that I've had. Like, first of all, COVID, I do not work well if it's not an in-person setting. So that was already a disadvantage. And then, when you add other issues like my classes not being good. For example, like one of my teachers could not teach a class. He was, I hate to put it like this, but he was not meant to still be working. I don't know if it was something to do with like dementia or Alzheimer's or anything like that, because my grandpa, he was passed already, but like I used to have a grandpa who had dementia, Alzheimer's in specific, and they're displaying like a lot of similar behaviors. This teacher like would be really forgetful and such, and like just kind of not displaying the behavior that it takes for him to teach a class, because like I don't know, I couldn't understand it. so I'd skip that class because I was not a huge fan of it. I couldn't understand it. I didn't like it. And I was already failing that year, so there was like no point for me. In my mind, I had no point of putting in like any effort because it wasn't going to get me anywhere if I was already, you know, set to fail. So that's what I did. I just kind of didn't do anything. I didn't participate in the class. I would skip it. And I would skip it with one of my friends who I am still very close friends with. I don't remember when we met. I think it was in like 7th grade. So we became good friends because we were from different elementary schools but same district, you know. I just realized I want to make a furnace. I'm gonna need fuel. So I'm gonna go get the fuel real quick. Okay, I got the fuel. Basically, with that class, I was already feeling it. There was no point for me really to attend or do much in it because it just was not working for me. And eventually I ended up getting caught by my parents. And it was really dumb. Okay, so I have a debit card issued by my mom because she works at the credit union that it's under, like the account and such. So she was able to kind of set that up pretty easily. But yeah, so like whenever I want to buy something, it sends a notification to her too that I've like purchased, you know, this and that. And so one of the times when I was skipping, my friend who I had mentioned also skipped and such, and her other friend went with me, and we went down to this like little market kind of by our school and bought some food and such from there. And you know, I was like, oh, okay. It kind of sent a notification to my parents. I'll just be like, oh yeah, on my lunch break I went out to get food at the market because I didn't really like what was in the like store or whatever in the cafeteria for that afternoon, and they didn't buy it. They actually went and called the school to confirm that. They went and called the school and asked them like, hey, are the kids allowed to leave the campus and this and that, and the school was like no, and they kind of just talked about all that stuff. And I was like, because my mom, oh shoot, sheesh, there's a lot of skeletons. Because my mom like texted me back about it, like about how they had said no, you know, they're not allowed to leave for campus. And I was confused on like why they went and actually went that far to check it, because when they were in school they would always tell me stories about how they could leave for lunch and they could drive off and go and get lunch somewhere else, or like go and spend that time however they wanted to. So I thought they'd just figure it was the same for my school. I guess it wasn't. I guess they didn't figure that, and it didn't really work out very well. So they asked me, they were like, oh, okay, well, like, did somebody give you permission to then? Like, because you have to have at least permission if you're going to anyways, from the teachers and such. Like, I think that was another issue, is like, without permission of some kind, you can't. And so I was like, oh, yeah, I have permission. One of my teachers told me, like, yeah, you can probably just go and do that. I don't think it should be an issue. So I told them that, and they were like, oh, can you give me the email of the teacher? I was like, oh, I'm not about to throw somebody under the bus for something that they didn't even do. So of course I didn't give an email. Like I was almost gonna go as far as to like make a fake email to act like a teacher and just have them email that and then like be like, oh yeah, I told them that they could, but then they would go like contact the school and probably tell them about it and stuff, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get someone in trouble. So eventually I had to just kind of fess up, and I was like, yeah, no, actually I didn't really get permission, sorry. And they were like, yeah, we're aware. And I was like, okay. So then I came home. I was terrified to go home that day. I was expecting them to be like so furious with me. And I actually got really lucky because when I got home, they didn't even mention it or anything. I was like, I was, oh my gosh, horrified. But when I got home, like nobody said anything about it, and I was like, oh, okay, is everything like normal? Are they just gonna attack me the next day or something? I don't know what's about to happen. It's kind of concerning. So I was just like, okay, I'll leave it be for now. And then later, I think we talked about it, and I kind of told them about like the class, and I gave them my reasoning for it, which was like, you know, about how I was already failing, and like how the teacher was kind of not easy to learn stuff with, and all this other things. And then showed them like receipts, like screenshots of my classmates and such who also had the same teacher in class, and all that, talking about how they also found the class like really difficult to learn in and participate in, and a lot of people who were still online were just like, you know, not showing up to the Zoom calls and such like that. And so eventually my parents were like, Okay, you have like a point. You're kind of making sense. So I was like, yeah, thank you. Ooh, okay, I'm not gonna let that out. Why I keep running? That was a terrible play. I'm gonna probably die. I might die. I died. Okay. I mean, I was near. Is that the same cave? I was near enough that I can get back to it easily, I think. But yeah. So then eventually, like, my parents, when they heard about my reasoning and such, and like when I showed them the proof, all these other things, they were like, oh, okay, well that kind of makes sense. Why, you know, you wouldn't want to participate in that class. And I was like, yeah, thank you. And so they told me, they actually gave me permission to skip it. Kind of strange, but when I had told them about that, they were like, oh yeah, this does not sound like a class that we want you in either, because she's gonna like set you back. And I was like, yeah, thank you. So they told me that I can skip that class, but only that class because of how the year already was, because of COVID and such. And then I could not skip any, I did not mean to go down here, okay. That I could not skip any other class, or like skip ever again, like, you know, in the next years. So this year I am not, you know, allowed to skip any classes, but I have Spanish again, which that was the class that I was, because the teacher, the Spanish teacher was a very white man who was not a native Spanish speaker. He relied on Google Translate half the time, and he was had a very peculiar way of going about teaching it. He was a character, but yeah, so like, you know, it doesn't make sense to really learn Spanish from somebody who isn't fit to teach it. But yeah. And so my parents, they let me not go to that class and such, because they understood my reasoning, and I was very glad for that. Don't shoot me, please. Please. Look at this. Okay, I didn't get blown up. Okay. I just had to get out of that real quick. But yeah, that was one thing that happened at the time when I had gotten caught skipping class. Not a good thing. Not a good thing to get caught for. Yeah, but then yeah, with my schedule, I'm gonna have to rearrange quite a bit of it, because I can't tell if some of them were just put in wrong or were not. Like, I did get a few classes that I liked, and a few classes with my friends, but I'm still being iffy about the schedule. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I'm gonna have to go and get that changed. But yeah, I'm probably gonna make this like a pretty short video, so I hope you guys enjoyed. And like I said earlier, remember to like and subscribe if you did enjoy, and you know, I don't know, maybe leave a comment or something if you ever got caught skipping class or any similar experience. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you guys have a good day.